Hey, Mrparka here. This is week 24. I got about 7 reviews for you and a contest update, some Q&A. Let's hop right in. The first movie I'll be reviewing is The Lift by Dick Maas, by Blue Underground. Dick Maas directed Amsterdam, which they released recently, and Down. Those are the only movies I'm familiar with by Dick Maas. He's from the Netherlands. He's a Netherlands director. Yeah, The Lift. This was made in like 83. It's essentially a lost Stephen King movie, if you ask me. You know how Stephen King had all those movies like, this is about a haunted machine, this is about a haunted car. This one is about evil elevator. Yeah, I don't know how much I could talk about The Lift. It's not horrible, and it's played fairly straight, which is kind of cool. I like the score. It's a synth-style score. That's kind of a tongue twister right there. It stars the guy from Amsterdam. And there's a couple pretty graphic deaths in here. It's all practical, of course, 83. Some of it looks a little hokey, especially a head that gets guy's head that gets caught in the elevator, which is just a given death. The best thing about this movie is definitely the tagline on the cover. For God's sakes, take the stairs, take the stairs, take the stairs. For God's sakes, take the stairs. Best tagline ever. The cover art's great. Like I said, it's a solid movie. It's a little long, and there's a lot of loose ends in this movie. There's characters in that with the wife and things. They just don't seem to go anywhere. And that's kind of with Amsterdam too. There's some of that where these characters are just like, why is there a side story that doesn't seem to go anywhere? It's just almost pointless. I guess it's just kind of add character development. At one point in the movie, I did notice a sound guy in the back of the van, which was kind of funny. There's a cool thing about the movie in a scene. Each scene sometimes has its own story. Like, there's a great moment where the lead character, the elevator mechanic, he's eating breakfast with his family, and his son starts dumping some sugar in his drink, and we think he's oblivious to it. But by the end of the scene, he manages to switch the drinks, and the kid takes a sip of it and realizes his drink is the one he's been screwing with the whole time. Stuff like that's really fun. They don't take super attention. They don't stop the movie to do it. It's just it's happening during dialogue scenes, and it makes the scenes that normally would be boring fun. I guess this was an international hit, which kind of surprises me. Like I said, it's played fairly straight. It's essentially just a Stephen King story, one of the evil random things around the house. The way they get this elevator to seem evil, or the way this whole story comes together, is absolutely ridiculous, and I have to give them credit for it. It's credit for it. It's not like it's a demon elevator, it's a possessed elevator, if it's a haunted elevator. It is ridiculous. DNA microchips that have mutated and had minds of their own. There's some like fun special effects, but that's all I can really say about The Lift. I like the lead. Of course, he hooks up with the reporter because no one else in their right mind would care about a ridiculous story like this. There's some nudity in here as well. The release has an interview with the lead actor. He's from Amsterdam, and he's pretty candid. He's driving a boat around Amsterdam, of course. And it has a commentary with the director, narrated by David Gregory, which I enjoyed. And that's about it, I think, on the disc. It's a DVD and a Blu-ray on here. Not much to say. There's a nice fight scene at the very end, a dramatic fight scene between a man and an elevator. It's batshit crazy, and I'm happy it exists. I'm just not really sure I can say all that much about it. It looks good. It sounds good. It's The Lift by Dick Maas, about an evil mutated elevator.
Deep inside this vertical city, a machine has come to life. A machine with a terrible secret. Modern technology gave birth to the lift. But the lift has made itself smarter, stronger, and deadlier. And now, the man responsible for making it safe is trying to make it stop killing.
The next one is the remake of The Lift, Down, also by Dick Maas. Released like a week before 9/11, which is very tragic because this movie takes place in a giant Millennium Tower with an evil elevator that they think is terrorist. So you can see why this movie kind of floated away into obscurity. Again, remade by the same guy who made The Lift. I gotta say, this doesn't happen often, but I enjoyed the remake better. It's bigger, it has a better cast, it goes really in depth with the characters. The movie has James Marsden, Naomi Watts, and for the genre fans, it's got Michael Ironside, Ron Perlman, Edward Herman, and Dan Hahea. All these people are in a slew of stuff. Dan Haye's in The Hunger, Edward Herman's in The Lost Boys, Michael Ironside's in Scanners, Ron Perlman's in everything, Hellboy. So it's got a nice cast of all these character actors in here. I loved seeing them. The movie almost runs 2 hours, which I think is a little bit ridiculous. And like The Lift, which I forgot to mention, everybody in this movie is trying to cheat on their wives and get drunk. What happens is the same plot with the mutated DNA chips. They go snooping around trying to figure out what's going on. And James Marsden's character, he is an elevator mechanic, of course, and he knows there's a cover-up. All this stuff is weird, and it goes into this corporate espionage and whatnot in both movies. Like I said, Down, though, is just bigger, better. I don't want to say it's better paced because it is longer. It's probably a little too long, but the effects are even better. Even if they use CGI in here, I think that for the time, the effects were actually pretty good when it comes to CGI. The acting's better, of course, and a better cast, a better set. The behind-the-scenes stuff, you see how much they did for these sets. They did such a wonderful job. The camera work's super fun, super inventive, and there's way more action in it. And they pushed the boundaries even further. In the original, spoiling a little bit, there's a blind guy, and you can imagine what happens with that. So when I saw the blind guy in the remake, I said, what are we going to do here? And they add a seeing eye dog. So it ups the ante in every aspect. And I actually enjoyed the hell out of it. It's fun. It's such a big budgeted movie that they get a song from Aerosmith in it, which is amazing. Love in an Elevator has a lot of memorable songs. Well, I think a couple memorable songs here and there, and a huge cast. And it's just everything about it is actually better. I think a lot of people might enjoy the original for nostalgia, but I just enjoyed this one more. Again, it does have that kind of loose ends of characters. It's like, why have these characters and do such a good job with them to not really take them anywhere? The special features on here are a commentary, again, with Dick Maas. He does a great job in here, with David Gregory, and they talk a lot about how the movie got hurt by 9/11 tragedy, which it's really sad, and it's strange that they predicted that, like, they blamed it on terrorists at the time. They thought the elevator, they're like, well, there's a terrorist in the building. It gets ridiculous. There's a lot of scenes that are very similar. They're the same scenes, it's a remake, but they change a couple things here and there. I forgot to mention on The Lift does have a short film by Dick Maas on there, which is actually really cool. This one has like a 2.5 hour making of. I'm not going to lie, I skimmed through it because it's a lot of still footage. They're just sitting there for minutes and minutes and you're seeing almost nothing happening. But they condensed it down to a 9-minute version. I think that the real version should be somewhere about an hour in there. I think they could get an hour of great footage. But there's a lot of cool stuff. And you see how big this movie was and how hardworking everybody is in it. Like, it's such a silly idea, and they take it fairly serious. They add elements of comedy in here, but they do a damn good job. I would recommend The Down and The Lift, but I would say that you got to appreciate Down more, you should see The Lift. But they both look good. They sound good. I enjoyed watching them, to be honest. I don't know if I'll be revisiting The Lift anytime soon, but I might pop in Down and just show people that, yeah, this exists. This $1 million movie about a evil mutated chip that controls elevators and technology and exists.
Elevators like to kill people. 10 people get on, 9 people get off.
People have been killed, Jeff. It seems like you don't really give a shit about that. I'd like to know what's going on with all this.
Hey, let the police find out.
We have never had a problem with these elevators before.
You're very, very lucky. People fall down empty shafts all the time. Or they get their limbs caught between the cars. Doesn't make the headlines.
The elevator, it's coming!
You're not gonna turn this into some kind of horror story, are you?
Well, I'm just after the truth.
We spent years establishing the fact that elevators are one of the safest means of transportation. We live in a vertical world. If you can't trust elevators, what the fuck can you trust?
I think that elevator's haunted.
This afternoon, one of this nation's most famous and prestigious landmarks, the Millennium Building, was the scene of a vile and malevolent act of terror.
Don't tell me we got terrorists inside the building at this moment.
You created this monster, you kill it.
Morning, Mr. Milligan.
The elevator did it. How dumb can you get?
The next one is from Arrow Films. This is A Fish Called Wanda, written by John Cleese, and stars Michael Palin, John Cleese, Jamie Lee Curtis, and of course, who else is in there? Kevin Kline. This is a cult movie. It's a darkly humorous movie, and it's been on list here and there. I've always heard about it, heard the name. I never saw it. Arrow released it. I was like, okay, I want to check this out. So when I did put it in, I was pleasantly surprised. These movies can go both ways because it had a lot of hype, so I didn't really know what to expect. And it took a while to suck me in, but once it got me in, I loved it. The characters in this movie are so unique and so funny and have almost every piece of dialogue that they say is super memorable. John Cleese is charming as hell, even though he is basically cheating on his wife and abandons his daughter. There's all this stuff that happens that these people are bad, but you enjoy the hell out of them. I don't know if it's just the charm of the writing or the direction or the way it's presented, but it's a movie about bad people that makes you like them. I would say the same about Seinfeld, but I'm not sure if you actually like those. I love watching those people, but these people are more of on a criminal level. What we have here is 4 people that decide to steal these diamonds from a bank, and of course they all start backstabbing and trying to steal the diamonds for themselves. A lawyer gets involved of one of the people who is arrested. That's John Cleese, and he falls for Jamie Lee Curtis's character, Wanda. Wanda basically is playing everyone, and it's so obvious when she's playing it to the audience, and it comes across hilarious. She also has these weird character quirks like everybody does in this movie. Kevin Kline is Otto. He's just mean as hell and absolutely hilarious and just a bozo. There's so many beautiful lines in this movie. There's one where Otto's always constantly trying to find out to prove that he's not a moron, but he is a moron all the time. He has a terrible attention span. You know what? I feel a lot like Otto sometimes, except that, maybe I am just kind of like Otto, so I kind of feel for him, even though he's a horrible, evil person. But there's a great moment when he yells back at Wanda and says, apes don't read philosophy. And Jamie Lee Curtis says, yes, they do. They just don't understand it. And that's just a perfect way to sum up Otto. He thinks he's an intellectual. He's in UK doing a crime. He hates the British because he thinks they're acting superior to him. John Cleese in the movie is charming and hilarious. Like I said, there's a lot of sight gags in here too. There's a gag where Michael Palin is trying to knock off somebody, and she has these 3 little dogs, and he keeps killing the dogs, and he's an animal rights activist. The title of Fish Come Wanda comes into play at the end. I don't want to spoil too much. I've probably spoiled way too much as it is. There's a theme music in there that gets stuck in your head, and it has a nice soft touch to it. There's a commentary on here with John Cleese. There's a bunch of stuff on here. It blew me away. There's a bunch of old documentaries that are ported over from the DVD with interviews from everybody. It's nice seeing Jamie Lee Curtis do a good role like this, a comedic role. She did one in True Lies as well, and the Scream Queen show. She's great in a comedic role. All of them are great. No complaints. Enjoyed it. Except the very, very end on the plane. There's one thing I would change about the movie. But that's A Fish Called Wanda. Looks good. Sounds good. And it's something I'm glad I got to finally see.
Hello.
Ew. Avoid the green ones. They're not ripe yet. Stutter's not getting any better, is it, Ken? Have you thought about surgery?
Shut up.
I think it's true to say about the English that Their main aim in life, at least the middle class that I came from, is to get safely into their graves without ever having been seriously embarrassed.
Strike at the building just behind me, where they help themselves to several large diamonds.
Let's not forget, before A Fish Called Wanda, Cleese was very much seen as either Basil Fawlty, the man in the parrot shop, or the Minister of Silly Walks.
Kevin had to fire a dart gun to open the safe, and he hit it.
That scene is cut the way that it is now to get rid of a little scene which you will now see where Kevin actually did shoot the tail off a cat. I'm not only internationally megastarring in this film, but I also wrote it. I've got a lot of points, and I think it promises to be a big hit.
May I kiss you, Ken?
No, you can't!
A Fish Called Wanda.
Otto!
He's going to be
Otto!
very pleased with me when he finds you all tied up and ready for the police. And don't call me Otto. To you, I am Mr.
Now apologize!
What, me to you?
Apologize.
All right, I apologize.
You're really sorry?
I'm really, really sorry. I apologize unreservedly.
The next one here is Spaceship Tear. Yeah, I saw the trailer for this one a long time ago. And this one is a super low budget movie. It obviously takes place in a spaceship, and it's about a serial killer who kidnaps women and makes them survive on his spaceship and play this evil, twisted game. The killer in this movie is completely gnarly, completely nasty, and he reminds me of something that like a really gross serial killer in real life would be like. But it's in a futuristic world, so it has these sci-fi elements. So he's all lined up like he's a Running Man hunter or killer from the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie. He has like all these weird things on him, and one of his eyes is dead. He's all scarred up. He's got an apparatus helping him breathe. He's like a serial killer version of a bounty hunter from Star Wars or a Running Man character. The movie's super sleazy. It's not presented sleazy, but the character is so gross. He basically turns up the heat in the spaceship for all these women that get stranded on his ship, and he basically makes them play this game. Of course, they strip down to their underwear, so it is exploitative for sure, and he tortures them. He gets off on pain, so he'll capture them, and basically turns into a torture porn there. That stuff's really nasty, really gross. But I kind of enjoy the setup of a serial killer on a spaceship where they're trapped and they have to play this game. The practical effects are great. It's really nasty, really bloody. The set designs are amazing. All the practical set designs, they did such good work on a budget. They show that in the behind-the-scenes stuff. They did really good with that. But the digital effects they're worse than bad. They're abysmal. I don't know. And I don't know if it was his intent to make them kind of look like lo-fi, but they're just dated. It's really what they are. They're really dated, and that's the only thing that hurts the movie for me. I mean, some of the acting ranges, some is good, some is really bad. Not really bad, but bad. But that could be like language barriers here and there, not necessarily bad acting, because the physical acting's not bad. But some of the line delivery is a little tough. But besides that, like, I enjoyed the premise a lot. I love the set design. The practical effects are good, and it's a really scary killer, really nasty. I felt uncomfortable watching him, and some of the dialogue that he says is really gross. So if you like these kind of movies, for sure, like, I would be interested in it. If you watch the trailer and you're like, that looks a little too rough for me, or a little too low budget, or a little too gross, then don't watch it. But the spaceship is actually called Tear because that's what its name is, and that's kind of cool too. But bad digital, good practical, great setup, good set designs, and a lot of heart and a lot of hard work behind this one, I think.
people. What do you just don't get it, do you? You're on a death ship. God, you're all going to die.
We need pipes, hammers, knives, anything we can find. Why? Do you think it's a trap? You said yourself we need to get up to the bridge.
Open that door, you bitch!
The next one here is the Walter Hill movie Hard Times with Charles Bronson, James Coburn, Strother Martin, Jill Ireland, and some other familiar faces. Bruce Glover from last week, so it was nice seeing him. And Frank McRae from Dillinger. Hard Times. This is actually Walter Hill's directorial debut. He had been working on movies and TV shows way before that, but this is the first one he directed. And I hadn't seen this movie in, like, I'd say at least 13 years. My dad was a fan of it. He always talked about it. You've seen Hard Times with Charles Bronson. You got to watch Hard Times. So I did watch it years ago on the old Columbia DVD or TriStar, or what DVD it was. And I wanted to revisit it, so I popped in the Blu-ray. This is an Eureka Blu-ray. This is Region B, so the Twilight Time is out of print. Yeah, I enjoyed the hell out of it. It basically follows Charles Bronson is a drifter, kind of a hobo, I guess you'll say. A drifter, goes town to town. He's quiet, he's older, he's mean as hell when he has to be in fights. And he sees this fight that James Coburn is, he's kind of like the bookie or whatever of these fights, or the manager of the fighter. And he watches his fighter get his ass kicked. And Coburn, who is just completely a piece of crap in the movie, but great, and Bronson start to form this relationship, and he finds out that Bronson is a badass and a great fighter, even though he's, I think he was like 54 years old in this movie. He's still shredded, he's still cut. But what happens is some really great setups and great fights for him to win a bunch of money and be on his way. He has a love relationship in here with waitress Jill Ireland, who is his real-life wife. And Strother Martin plays this doctor who's addicted to opium, and he's phenomenal. He has a lot of great lines. He's very bizarre, he's very weird in it. Does a tremendous job. He always does. Strother Martin's from Ballad of Cable Hogue and The Wild Bunch. He's great in this. Is actually probably one of his better performances I've seen. He's always good though, but it's a very memorable performance. Lots of great lines in here. James Coburn and Charles Bronson work well together. Coburn is just one of these guys that never changes. He never learns. He's always that guy that whatever he wins, he wastes. And what happens is it puts this strain on the relationship, of course, and Bronson has to do something he doesn't want to do to help Coburn out. The fights in here are great. They come at each other all the time. They'll be like this, and they'll show their hands, like to show they're not having anything in their hands, like brass knuckles. But it escalates to a point where the local kind of like crime boss imports a fighter to fight Bronson. But there's some great fights in here. The bald guy from The Longest Yard is in here. I can't remember his real name, but the fight with him and Bronson's great. That guy's just creepy. There's a moment when they one of my favorite moments is they import this fighter from out of town, and the old fighter, the bald guy, standing with the crime boss, and the new fighter gets off the train and he's carrying his bag and he hands it to the bald guy and he's like, I don't do that. And he's just like, and he basically makes him carry his bag. But it's a good movie. The person who was watching it with me said, you know what, there's no character growth. Nobody changes. And I was like, but it's just a slice of life movie just to show this character going from town to town. I enjoy the hell out of it. I think it's one of Walter Hill's best movies, to be honest. And it's Hard Times. It's a great movie.
Money's hard to come by.
How'd you make money?
I knock people down.
You mean like a prize fighter?
No, they're pickup fights. The money's made on bets.
Funny way to make a living.
Set something up for you next week. Go in slow, quiet. I got a good feeling about this. I think we'll make some real money.
When I get enough change in my pocket, I'm going.
I got a husband in jail, no job, and no prospects.
Sure?
What the hell are you doing? I want no trouble. Just you pay your debts.
Now I got the gun.
I don't think you want to use it.
That's one way. You want to see another?
That's Chick Gandil, one of the big money belts in town. He's the one we're going to shake.
I envy you. It must be exciting to bet more money than you can afford to lose. Who's gonna hold it?
The next one is The Warriors by Walter Hill. This is the director's cut. This is the one that Walter Hill went and added the comic transitions. I hadn't seen The Warriors again in probably even longer, 15 years. I remember a couple of my friends really enjoyed The Warriors growing up. It had that cult following, and these guys weren't like, they're movie fans as much as the next guy, a little bit more than most, and they loved The Warriors. And I remember watching it. I always enjoyed it. Essentially, The Warriors is super influential on movies. It even has a video game now, but super influential on movies. The whole gang movies that came out afterwards. This is like 78. Walter Hill made this movie as well. And this is one of his biggest hits, I think. It has James Remar, Michael Beck, who else pops up in here? David Patrick Kelly. So yeah, James Remar's in this movie. He's top-notch, as always. We have this movie where it's slightly post-apocalyptic or slightly in the future, and there's tons and tons of gangs. There's a giant gang rally to kind of lead the gangs together, and somebody gets killed, and this gang called the Warriors is blamed. They basically have to make it all the way back to Coney Island with all these gangs chasing them, and they have a bunch of fight scenes. I don't love this movie as much as a lot of other people, but I enjoy it. It's really cool, and it's so influential. You gotta love it. And the looks of a lot of the gangs are great. James Remar plays one of the gang guys. He's always angry, always wants to fight. He plays Ajax, and he's top notch in it. James Remar is always great, and he always uses the word faggot in it. He keeps saying faggot, and it's funny. Like a couple years later, he would play a homosexual in Cruising. So I think that's kind of using that word in the movie. Everybody used the word back then, but and it wasn't so looked down upon it. But it's funny that he went on to play like a homosexual 2 years later in a movie, Cruising. But it's enjoyable. The best part about the movie is the fight scene, a lot of the slow motion fight scenes. It's strange how, I believe his name's Thomas Wade, the guy who played Windows in The Thing, and he's in here as well as one of the Warriors. But it's really strange to me, the levels here, like, at times it doesn't seem super serious, but then people will die at times as well. Totally like the relationships and the stakes are strange in here. But I enjoy it. I think it's cool. It's an on-the-run movie. And James Remar's great in it. I do not like what happens to James Remar. I think it was a waste, but that's just me. I do not really care for the comic transitions that Walter Hill added in. Do I think it ruins the movie? Absolutely not, but it makes Walter Hill happy. I guess that's cool. I wish that I could see the original version myself, though. But hey, that's what it is.
These are the armies of the night.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
The Furies. The Boppers. The Hi-Hats. The Lizzies. The Turnbull ACs. The Gramercy Riffs.
Riffs!
And these are the Warriors.
We know about the Warriors. They're a heavy outfit.
They're from Coney Island.
Warriors? You guys are the big dudes, huh?
Now they're in the Bronx. We're going back. 27 miles behind enemy lines. It's the only choice we got. Between them and safety stand 20,000 cops and 100,000 sworn enemies.
I want them all. I want all the warriors.
They've got one way out. They've got one chance. They've got one night. The Warriors.
The next one I'll be reviewing is Dis. This was actually sent to me by Bill Oberst Jr. It was a screener, and I believe the director is Adrian Cornoa, or what is it? Corona, I believe, or Coronata. I'm sorry, miss. I couldn't think for a second. But this is a super strange movie. You guys will know Bill Oberst Jr. He's an independent actor. He does a great job. Everything he pops up in, he is golden. Even if the movie's not great, he's great. He's in Circus of the Dead. He's in Coyote, which I reviewed, and slew of other stuff. If you guys look his name up, the list is probably 100, 200 movies. What we have here is this super strange movie about this weird legend of a creature that I don't really know much about, and it was super interesting because of that. We have Bill Oberst Jr. as this kind of soldier, and the movie opens up. For the first 25 minutes, there's barely any dialogue spoken, which I absolutely loved. There's tons of long takes with the camera following. It had to be like pre-planned, and the locations they use in the woods with this what looks like an abandoned parking garage with overgrown woods and everything like that is amazing, and the way they use the camera in here is top-notch. The movie is fairly extreme, to be honest. But it's not like, hey, isn't this metal? Isn't this hardcore? It's just, it does it matter of fact. It does it crazy stuff in here. In the opening of the movie, someone is tortured and they are forced to go to climax. A woman, and she's completely nude. She's tied up in a chain and everything. And you don't really know what's going on. This strange person in mask does it, and then it goes right into the movie. And like the right into it with Bill Oberst, and he's just kind of wandering these woods and wandering these abandoned garage garage complex, parking garage, with multiple floors. It's just insane. And the way, like I said, the way they use the camera in this, they'll do a long tracking shot and they'll spin around and they'll follow him. It looks like a lot of hard work, and I think they did a great job. About, like I said, the 25-minute mark, something happens to Bill Oberst Jr., and he is captured, and we kind of get these two storylines in the past, and it turns black and white, and we see what, his past is and why he's there, and it starts to, a little bit comes together, and by the what you realize what the creature is and what he's going after, you start to understand what exactly happened. And when you see what Bill Oberst has done, you no longer feel sorry for what's happening. But it's a great performance by Bill Oberst, as always. It's a very brave performance by everybody involved. There's people nude and being tortured, and it's very strange. Great location. Very surreal and creepy, and it has this folklore about the mandrake root, which I don't know much about, which is why I was so intrigued to see it. And I'm a sucker for anything that incorporates these weird folklores or these weird monsters that I don't have much information on myself. But it has this weird fairy tale folklore thing going on where this person who's torturing them is collecting their fluids and dumping it on these plants, trying to grow stuff. If you read the description on Internet Movie Database, you'll know what's going on, but there's some nice reveals in here towards the end. But I would really recommend it, especially if you like extreme films that are actually, really well made and have a lot of cool, unique things about them. I would recommend Dis. I'm not familiar with the director's other work if he has done anything, but this movie looked really crisp, shot really well, beautiful locations, and I loved it, actually. For an indie movie I haven't seen in a long time, this is a big surprise, a great indie movie. I've seen them here and there, but this one really shocked me. This is right up my alley. I like the extreme movies when there's a lot more to them, and this one had a lot to it. I loved it. Okay, let's get into the contest. All right, we have for Cabin Fever 0 and From the Dark. What we got? Who's going to win it? Nick. Congrats, Nick. I think it's Nick Mua. I know he didn't put his last name, but I'm assuming it's Nick because he always comments. Also, I mentioned that for Down and Lift, there is going to be written reviews on the Screaming Toilet, so go check those out. And if you guys want to win a sealed copy of Lorelei's Grass from BCI, You got to do 3 things. You got to like the Screaming Toilet Facebook page, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and leave a comment on this page, the Screaming Toilet page, not the Facebook, not the message. You guys know. There'll be a link below. All right, I guess I'll get into the Q&A. I only have about 5 or 6 questions. Jonathan Gagny, as for your question, since Christmas is right around the corner, what are your top 5 Christmas horror films? Ooh, I'm going to go number 1. I'm going to do most of these off the top of my head. I kind of looked into it. I haven't seen a lot of the Christmas movies Black Christmas I haven't seen in a very long time. But I'm going to give you my favorite Christmas horror movie has got to be Christmas Evil. I love that movie. It's a psychological horror movie, Christmas movie. It's crazy. I love that one. So it's Christmas Evil. You got to check that one out. I love the remake of Black Christmas. Really surprised me. A lot of Christmas elements in there, and it's just super gory and super crazy and super weird for that time. So that's 2. Krampus. I loved Krampus. I thought that was great stuff. Really cool monsters, really cool mythology. What else do I really love? I like Silent Night, Deadly Night, and Black Christmas, but I haven't seen them in a long time, so I can't really recommend right off the top of my head. Gremlins, you gotta love Gremlins, so we're gonna go Gremlins 4, and one that I'll just throw out there, which Red Christmas is great too. So Red Christmas is another recommendation, but I'm gonna say Don't Open Till Christmas. I remember that movie where the Santa Claus is getting their penises chopped off and whatnot in the bathroom, and just tons of Santas getting killed. The English one, that one was pretty gnarly if I remember correctly. So I'll go with that one. There's other ones. I guess Jack Frost counts. I like most of them that I've seen, but I'll go with Christmas Evil, Black Christmas, Krampus, Don't Open Till Christmas, and there was another one I had that I just said. I'm missing it. Gremlins. We'll go with that. Hopefully that's good enough for you. Nick. Many believe John Carpenter lost his mojo in his later films. I don't agree at all. I love Village of the Damned and Vampires. How about you? I don't think he lost his mojo at Village of the Damned Vampires. I like those movies. I don't love Village of the Damned, but I enjoy it. I love Ghost of Mars. I think Ghost of Mars is a blast. I think it's action-packed. It's played like a Western. It's got Statham having fun. It's got Robert Carradine popping in there. Peter Jason, I believe, is in that. And Pam freaking Grier. I like it. Ice Cube, I don't care. I enjoy it. I know it's not fucking high art or anything, but it's a fun kind of space Western. I'm in it. I like it. Paul Weichel. Movies like Halloween Resurrection, Jason X, and Freddy vs. Jason were all left with open endings. What is your opinion of movie companies just leaving the fans hanging? Do you think they should give these franchises proper endings instead of diving right into the remakes? I don't know, I don't think they should have made the thing about those movies is you should just continue carrying on the sequels. People are like, you're ruining the franchise. It's like, how far can we fall from I don't think we can fall much further from Halloween Resurrection, right? Might as well just keep making sequels. Or Friday the 13th. Like, don't overthink it. We all know that they're just fun. If there's a bad one, there's a bad one. Not everyone loves every Jason movie. I don't like Jason Takes Manhattan at all. But they should just keep making sequels. Leave them open-ended all the time so we can keep getting sequels. If they suck, they suck. Oh, well. We still got the other ones. The remakes, they look like crap for the most part. I didn't really partake. I like the Halloween remakes, but I know a lot of people hate them. I enjoy them. I don't think they're like the originals. I can see those differently. I didn't care for the Friday the 13th remake. Didn't care for the Texas Chainsaw remake, but I'm not mad about them really anymore. I don't care. I still got the originals, but I wouldn't even mind if they just kept making sequels to the originals. If they tie them up, see, the problem is if they make a sequel to the original and try to tie it up and it's terrible, everybody's going to be mad about it. So if they leave it open-ended, hey, we can come back and fix it. John Wilhelm, what is your favorite John Candy movie? Good question. Love John Candy. Stripes. Movie that he's in, he's in, Stripes. Love it. Bill Murray, Harold Ramis, Warren Oates, John Candy, Judge Reinhold. Great stuff. John LaCroix, I can't say his last name. I can't remember it off the top of my head. But love that one. One John Candy vehicle that he's in the whole movie, probably The Great Outdoors. But I really have a soft spot for Armed and Dangerous and Who is Harry Crumb. His character, Harry Crumb, is just so freaking charming, even though he's a buffoon. I love Harry Crumb. Christopher Delier, what is the worst film you've ever seen? Man, I don't know. I've seen a lot of bad movies. I've seen a lot of great movies. I've seen a lot of movies in between that I probably don't remember. I can't think of the worst movie I ever seen. Oh, Almost Invisible. I reviewed that a long time ago. That's the one that tops that. That movie's terrible. There's probably some movies I turned off, though. But I guess that's what I got. Let's hop into the update. Wes Craven's Summer of Fear from Doppelganger. I had a chance to watch this. Night School. Haven't seen this in years. This made the Video Nasties list. Warner Archive. Love what Warner Archive's doing. The Indian Runner. Picked this up from Kino. Great cast. David Morris. Who else is in here? I'll read right off the front. David Morris, Viggo Mortensen, Patricia Arquette, Dennis Hopper, Charles Bronson. Directed by Sean Penn. Great cast. Night Angel. I started watching some of this the other day. This is silly, boys. Marathon Man. Haven't seen that in a long time. Again, my dad liked that one. Ride the High Country. Sam Peckinpah, Warner Archive. Had the DVD. Had it on Vudu. Wanted the Blu-ray. The Ballad of Cable Hogue. Also got the Blu-ray from Warner Archive. Good movie. Reviewed that. And we got this Alfred Hitchcock set. It was $50. It's not the Ultimate. The Ultimate, I believe, has 10 episodes of the show on there. But this has 15 movies. I'll list them all for you. Psycho, Birds, Vertigo, Rear Window, North by Northwest, A Man Who Knew Too Much, Marnie, Saboteur, Shadow of Doubt, Rope, The Trouble with Harry, Torn Curtain, Topaz, Frenzy, and Family Plot. That's a lot of movies. And I'm looking forward to diving into them. And I want to address this at the very end. Here, check this out, guys. I ordered some stuff from Deep Discount DVD, right? I opened the package and I'm like, why is this not sealed? And why does it look like it has water damage? And then I realized they sent me a used DVD. And then I realized it's a screener. I've already taken care of it. I've already called Deep Discount DVD, private property. I'm getting a new one. They ordered me a new one at the discount price I got it for, and they're sending me a return label. But what must have happened here is some jerk-off got a screener, and he didn't expect to. He already had this on order, and so he returned the order. But instead of sending back the brand new Blu-ray, he sent back the screener, and Deep Discount didn't know, got it in, and just sent this out to me. That's ridiculous. That's like this is a movie I'm looking forward to seeing, but I'm gonna wait. I'm waiting until I get the actual copy in. I mean, this is a screener, this is the actual copy, but it's just the punch code. It's like, what kind of jerk would send in a screener? And I can't believe that worked. And I can't believe Deep Discount didn't catch it. And I can't believe that they sent it to me right after. But that's my video. I'm not that mad about it, but it's just ridiculous. You guys have a good one. I appreciate everything you guys leave when you leave comments and everything, when you ask questions. So remember, there's questions you can always ask on Screaming Toilet. Written reviews as well. I appreciate the support. You guys, a lot of views on my last video. Maybe it was the interview. I'm pretty sure it was a Vinegar Syndrome interview, but I appreciate the watching and everything. And give me some suggestions what you guys want to see in these videos. I'll try to do it if I can. Take care.